Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the IUI treatment Q&A video. So basically this is real time. Today is Thursday. I just posted yesterday the results that we got from our first IUI treatment journey, which was filmed in August is when we started the IUI treatment journey, and then in early September is when we got those results. So that was the videos that you just saw. It was kind of a little documentary series on our first IUI treatment journey. I tried to share the realness of it, what happened with you all, because I know that so many of you all are going through the same exact thing. But I did want to make just a quick kind of like real-time Q&A video now that you all have seen all of that, just to kind of answer your questions about what just kind of answer the questions that pertain to that journey. First and foremost, I'm seriously just blown away by the amount of support, the kind words, the encouragement, just the love that you all have given to us so far on this journey. I just knew on my heart that this is something that God wanted me to share for a reason. And I know it's because so many of you all are going through it, and that so many of you all need support just like I did. And so I just thank you all so much for that. It truly, like, I don't even really know what to say. It just blows me away every single time, and I'm just so thankful for you all. All right, so basically I asked the questions over on my Instagram. If you all don't follow me on Instagram, that's where I post just a lot about this journey as well. It's just at Rachel McLaughlin, but I'll leave a link down below if you want to check that out. But anyways, I asked over there what your questions were about our IUI treatment journey. I got quite a few questions, so we're just gonna go through it. When I do these questions, I don't share who sent them, just because a lot of times it's people who are going through this journey, and I just want to respect people's privacy. I've had people ask that I not share their name, so I just don't share the name. But if you sent in questions, seriously, thank you so much. So we'll start with the first one, which is kind of a heavy one. I'm just looking at it like, whew. So this just says, how is your and Tyler's marriage while dealing with infertility? If you're on this journey, that can be a struggle. It's obviously a journey that is not just you. There's two people in that journey, you and your husband, or you and your spouse. It does affect your marriage. I don't think that you can get out of this journey and say that it didn't. I think though that if you look at it, it affects it, or it has affected mine in both positive and negative ways. And I would definitely say more positive than negative. Going through this journey, and as a married couple, especially young, like having a family was always something that we wanted. It was something that we obviously thought would come a lot easier than it has. But I think if you reflect back to when we first got married, we've been married for 4 years now, this journey has allowed us to grow in so many ways. And I truly think that had we not went through this journey, that our marriage and how we are as, or will be as parents has changed a lot. I think that obviously we've matured a lot, we've been through a lot, we've become emotionally more mature. Our lives obviously look a lot different. We're now in a home that we own. So I don't know. I think that obviously God's timing will be the most perfect timing. And I think that just looking now at our journey, I think that we are definitely different people than what we were 4 years ago when we first got married. And I think that that's a positive thing. I think that it has allowed us to have serious and deep conversations. It's pushed us to have those conversations. It's pushed us to be more mature and just to grow together. We've had more time alone. We've been able to just, I don't know, just find ourselves individually and as a couple. I also think another positive thing from it is that the moment that we find out that we are pregnant, I feel like we are just gonna be so incredibly excited. And this is kind of weird to think about, but if you go back to the very first video when I kind of talked about our infertility struggles for the first year of our marriage, the very first time that I recorded, like I recorded thinking like it was gonna be a positive. I was so scared. And when I look back at those clips, I just think like, oh my gosh, like I was so terrified that I could have been pregnant, even though obviously we wanted children. And so I just think that had we had been pregnant then, yeah, we would have been excited, but I think it would have been a lot more scary. You know, I just think now it would be something that we would just embrace wholeheartedly and that we are so ready for and excited for. So I think that that's kind of the differences. Negatives, I think that it does also put a strain on your marriage. I think having to focus on it so much and having to plan it out, having to worry about if you're doing things right or wrong, I just think it does put a strain on your marriage in that sense as well. The next question is, did your doctor tell you how many IUIs y'all were going to try before moving on to other treatments? So no, he didn't really give us a number of IUIs to try. Like I kind of mentioned before we made the decision to do the first IUI, I think that he kind of suspects endometriosis as the number one thing. He basically gave us the option to try an IUI first. It allowed us to get a more clear picture of Tyler's semen analysis and how his sperm was, the quality, the counts, all that kind of stuff. Having that picture allows us to know what to do next if the IUI didn't work. And obviously you all know now it did not work. So he didn't really give us a number, but I think he basically gave us the option to either do the IUI or to check for endometriosis, which he suspects could be the likely cause of our infertility. I don't have any real symptoms of it, but a lot of times women don't have symptoms and can still have it. So in order to know, I would have to do the laparoscopy, which is I think like a biopsy to test for endometriosis. So that's definitely an option that we're looking into. All right, the next one was praying for you, which thank you so much. Next step going to be the surgeries. When we found out that we did not conceive, they did give us another option, but like I mentioned in that video, we don't really have the funds, so we have to like save for a little bit. So they did give us another option. I have been filming that and I will release all of that here soon. That will be the second, I guess the second series in this treatment journey, which will start after this video. So you will find out more about what our decisions are, what happens, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of just want to continue the series as we have, kind of after we've been through it, if that makes sense. It just kind of gives us a second to process it. How many IUIs will you have done? So like I've mentioned, some of these all kind of run together. As of right now, we've done one IUI. We were given another cost-effective option that we've done this past cycle that we will share with you all. But as of right now, it's just one IUI. How do you prepare your body for your IUI treatments? So obviously that was my first IUI. I wouldn't say that I really prepared my body in any sort of way. It's just something, you know, I've been taking the prenatal vitamins. That's something that I've, really focused on since July. I've made sure that I'm like on point with it. I had ran out before then and hadn't purchased anymore, but especially now that we're doing treatments and stuff, I've definitely been just taking my prenatal vitamins. I've tried to stay active and really, I've kind of focused on my mental health and how I am doing mentally and just trying to stay positive and try to reduce my stress as much as I can. I will be honest, I have quite a stressful job, but I'm trying to just learn to manage that a little bit better, to also just manage my stress, if that makes sense. Another question, how long were you and your husband trying naturally before you started the IUI process? So I know that there's a lot of new people here and you've probably not followed along from the very beginning, but this makes 4 years that my husband and I have been trying to conceive. And basically that whole time we've been trying naturally. We've had tests done multiple times. You know, I've had like an HSG done, I've had blood work, he's had a couple semen analysis. We've done that throughout the time, but this truly is our treatment journey from the very beginning. Will you be saving up for another IUI next or the surgery? So obviously a lot of questions about what's next. Like I said in the last video at the end, our office did give us another cost-effective option until we could save up to either do an IUI or the surgery. So I will be sharing what we're doing in the next cycle here next in the next video that you all see on this channel. So the next question, which is kind of a personal question, I'll be honest, I'm not entirely comfortable with sharing all aspects of this journey, but I know where this is coming from. The question is, do you think with all this stress of not being able to get pregnant, it has made your libido low now? Oh God, this is so awkward for me. What I will say about that question, I think, is that obviously this journey affects that part of your marriage and of your life, and it can make it very difficult, especially when you're, you know, timing things, trying to make sure, like, do everything you can do. But I think that part, yes, it can become very stressful. And that's why there have been some months where I'm just like, no, like, we're not going to worry about it. We're not going to time everything. We're not going to just, like, some months I just was like, no, like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to make it stressful. We're not going to have to time everything. And I think that has helped, where we've like timed some cycles we haven't, we've taken breaks, blah, blah, blah. And I think that that does help with the stress of it. Would you start a merch to raise money for your next treatment? I'd be so down to participate. So this has been one thing that has kind of blown me away from sharing our last video, is so many of you all are just so willing to help and support us. We obviously, I haven't created a merch line before for my channel. I haven't done any type of fundraiser. I know a lot of people are like wanting my PayPal and all that kind of stuff, and that is so kind. It's, you know, it just blows me away, honestly. I have thought about creating a merch line. I think it would be kind of cool for our community to kind of have something relatable, and obviously to support my channel, which would support our journey. I haven't developed that yet. It's not something that I wouldn't do. It's something that I'm looking into now. So that's really kind, and I love that you would be willing to support us. That's awesome. What was a specific thing you learned from this IUI that will influence your next steps? One thing definitely that I learned from this IUI is I think I would have done my own LH strips myself, just to kind of track my ovulation. Even though you do the follicle scan and the trigger shot and all that, I think it's helpful to also do your own LH strips, just to kind of check and see when you're ovulating. My office ended up doing one right before, just to know like when to do the trigger, but I think that might be something that could be helpful. It's something that they did not tell me to do at the time, but when we had went in for our follicle scan, they had asked, you know, have you been testing? And I'm like, no. Like, I didn't know I was supposed to. I don't think you have to, but it's obviously something that could help monitor throughout. Other than that, I really don't think that I would have done anything differently, because honestly it all looked really well. I just don't know that we could have done anything differently. So not really. Are you guys planning on doing IVF next time? No, like, we're not at the point for IVF. Obviously IVF would be a very last option for us. So at this point, is it something I would do? I don't know. It's something that I would consider. But at this point, we're not even there yet. I say that, and then it could totally change. Never say never. Another question was, has this affected your faith in God? I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned over time, is that I have leaned so much on my faith, and it is definitely the number one thing that has gotten me through this journey. And has it affected my faith? I think at points. I'll be honest with you all. Have I always been a Christian and gone to church for the majority of my life? Yes. There were times, different times, like in college and stuff, that I really just didn't go to church that often. Like, I was obviously still a Christian, but it just wasn't a priority in my life like it should have been. And I can just honestly say, this point in my life, like, this journey has brought me to my faith. If I did not have my faith, I think that this journey would be 10 times harder than it already is. I think that God has given me very clear signs and has definitely been what has got me through this journey. And so I think at moments, like after this first IUI treatment that was unsuccessful, yes, it challenged my faith. It made me very angry. But I feel like it's definitely the thing that I cling to, and know that, like, a child is a miracle from God, 100%. And I learned that when I became an aunt. Like, obviously it's a miracle, blah, blah, blah. But when it affects you and your family, and you walk into the room for a new child that is born into your family, it is an experience that is life-changing, and it's something that is so hard to describe. I mean, you walk into the room and literally there's a new life. And my second nephew, I literally got to experience his birth. And experiencing a birth for the first time and it being in your family is just something that is, like, unexplainable. And it's just a complete gift from God. And so if anything can help you through this journey, it's your faith. And whatever that looks like for you, I just think that this journey is so lonely at times, especially in that first year. It's very, very lonely, and you need that support. And sometimes that, you know, for everybody, like, leaning on your family or people in your personal life can be very difficult, vulnerable, and clinging to other people who are in the same journey can just be so much more supportive, because they've been through it, they've walked your shoes, they know what you're going through. I just think that you have to have support on this journey. You have to have your faith or something to help get you through this. So, long story short, yes, I think it's affected my faith in many ways, and many, many positive ways for sure. Just a couple more. Did the actual IUI process hurt at all? I feel like when you say, did it hurt? I think that level of pain tolerance is different for everybody, and the actual experience can be different from everybody. I have seen, like, in our support group and in different things where people have talked about, like, their first IUI hurt, the second IUI didn't hurt. So it's very different, and obviously pain tolerance is different for everybody. From my experience, I would say, you know, obviously I'm a wimp when it comes to shots, and I was very anxious about the shot. All in all, it really didn't hurt that bad. I'm talking about the trigger shot. The actual procedure, I would just explain my experience as uncomfortable. I personally, my experience is that the HSG that I had done was more painful than the IUI. The IUI was just, it was just a pressure, and it was just like an uncomfortable pressure, like with the speculum, and then when they put the catheter in there. But I'm telling you, I don't know, I just tried to focus on the pressure, which helped take my mind off of the catheter, because they did have a little bit of issue with the catheter that they were using. So I think that drug out the process. It definitely wouldn't have been as long as a process for me if that hadn't happened. So ultimately, I think it was just uncomfortable. It really, really wasn't that painful at all. All right, the last question is, have you ever heard of the Stork? It's over the counter, kind of like an at-home IUI. I think I've heard of like these at-home IUI type procedure or kit like things. I don't know really how I feel about it. Obviously it's not something that we've done. I have kind of just been at the point where I really relied on the advice of my physician and the infertility clinic at this point. So it's obviously not something that we've done. I'm not saying I would never do it. I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. So that's all the questions, literally every single one of them that you all sent in. So thank you so much for sending in your questions. Thank you most importantly for all your prayers and support and encouragement. Your positivity seriously is so meaningful and impactful on our journey. I hope that me sharing this journey with you all impacts your journey as well. It helps support you. It helps bring you some positivity, some realness, even some information that maybe you're not aware of. So anyways, thank you all so much. I can't say thank you enough. Like, I feel like I'm being, like I need to quit saying thank you, but seriously. If you are unfamiliar with our support group, if you're new here, we do have a private TTC and infertility Facebook support group. It's always linked in my videos. I also come join us on Instagram. I share a lot of things over there as well. My next video series is a few videos about our next cycle, what we decided to do next, how that went. You can check that out, and yeah, I will see you all in those videos. Bye guys.